AskReddit. What is something that absolutely disgusts you, but the majority seems to be okay with? While I don't think it's the majority everywhere, but it is here in the South, giving soda/pop to children. Fat little 2-year-old swilling Mountain Dew at Walmart. I die a little on the inside. Plastic packaging everywhere, even on fruit and vegetables. When parents constantly complain about and resent their children because of the things they have to do for their children as a parent. You had to provide food for the child you brought into the world. You had to make lunch? No way. How horrible. How dare they require you to provide them food? Probably should have considered the needs of a child before you had one. Not cleaning up after yourself in public. My son would ask me why we took our things to the garbage at the movies when everyone else seemed to just leave it. I'd say because we can, and we are not animals. I think he appreciated it more when he started working at a movie theater cleaning up after the filthy messes. Smokers dropping cigarette butts anywhere and everywhere. And if you dump your ashtray out on the street while you are stopped at a light, you're an asshole squared. I have friends and relatives who would never drop a paper napkin or cup on the sidewalk, but think nothing of dropping a butt and stumping it out. They're trash. Fuckwards. Texting and driving. The amount of people with blatant disregard for human life is disgusting. It's seriously like 50% of people I see on the road. How most of the hits on the radio romanticize binge drinking and prescription drugs. I recently came to the realization that I'm alcoholic, and I started noticing this everywhere. Songs about passing out from drinking and taking care of people that have had too much, as if it's a totally normal bonding experience. It bothers me even more to know that the pop station's main audience is probably in middle/high school. Alcoholism, if not vigilantly monitored, can ruin every aspect of your life. Unchecked, you can lose literally everything, including your life. Edit, I mean that I started noticing the constant references to alcohol because I'm more aware of my own exposure to temptation. I'm not saying that the radio is making kids become alcoholics, only that it romanticizes unhealthy substance use. I'm all for casual/responsible drinking, but maybe it's not so good that our adolescents are constantly hearing about drinking till you puke or blackout. Speaking loudly in a quiet environment, and worst of all, continue and act like an asshole after stares. Advertising in general. It didn't bother me much when I was younger and watched a lot of television. I haven't even had a TV in my room for over 10 years now. I watch most stuff online and have ad blockers or just download stuff, and I also don't listen to the radio at all, so there's very little active advertising in my life. I recently spent some time at someone else's house and watched quite a bit of TV while I was there, and all of the ads were incredibly grating and made me very uncomfortable. The idea that we're so passive to these companies trying to manipulate our behaviors so we'll buy their awful products that we don't need, and the way they target kids in particular, is barbaric and disgusting. Lotion. I hate that greasy, oily texture it leaves behind. I have found some that leave less residue, but they all leave something and it just feels dirty and gross. This is a little personal, so apologies if this doesn't affect anyone else, but unemployment and the ridiculous requirements to get a job, a simple job, which they can teach you. The fact that politicians are all bought by corporate interests, and if they don't adhere to those corporate interests then their re-election won't be funded, and another politician will come into power who does bend the knee to those that paid for them. Essentially, the fact that bribery is legal in the US, and that nobody cares. A ton of the problems in the American democracy stem from this single issue alone. Not liberals or conservatives, not Democrats or Republicans, just the fact that both parties are owned by corporate interests. Not wearing socks when wearing tennis shoes. My so's family never wears socks, even while working out, and it truly disturbs me. Purebred dogs. Some of the extremes have horrific disorders at birth due to the large amount of interbreeding that goes on just for them to look a particular way, because people like it. I'm gonna go with smoking. Lived in Ireland all my life and got used to it. Then I moved to Sydney for 3 years, and it was pretty much non-existent wherever I went. Came back to Ireland and I would say I see nearly 10 times as many smokers here. I know I'm probably going to get buried, but I hate it when I go to a grocery store and find shopping carts all over the parking lot when there are plenty of docking stations available. You're just a lazy piece of trash. Also, thank you cards. I fucking hate those with a passion. The appalling quality of the US education system and the anti-intellectualism that it breeds. It's important to have a smart, educated, and curious populace. How else are we going to survive? How everyone shows up to loot a dead person's belongings. It's horrible to watch how greedy people get when they see an opportunity. After my stepmom died, my stepsister broke into my dad's house while we were at the funeral home making arrangements and stole everything of value. Some of it was my dad's family heirlooms. She refuses to give any of it back because it reminds her of her mom. I could list a dozen more examples, but it makes me sick to think about. So many guys seem to be okay with using the toilet, usually for number one, and not washing their hands afterwards. Completely baffles me. It's not even that you might have got any of it on your hands, but public bathrooms tend to not be the cleanest of places anyway. Who knows what's on your hands after you've been in there? That the US is so obsessed with work that taking days off / sick days that they have earned is looked down upon. Everyone gets that guilty feeling when they take the vacation they are supposed to have or call in sick with that 100-degree fever. It starts in school with the how dare your kids miss a day of school to go do something educational / fun. All the awards for perfect attendance. Come on, the kid came to sick some day. In so many other countries it is kind of the opposite. Why the hell do you keep coming to work? Take a vacation. They get 2 to 3 times as much vacation as we do. Kids are expected to do something with their family. I just hate the fact we are okay with people being totally obsessed with work. Think of the people you know that have weeks worth of time off built up. I remember family who had months of time that they got paid for when they retired because they just had it sitting there. I love having some time built up in case the kids get sick, but I shouldn't get made to feel guilty because someone thinks taking time off that you have is just a terrible thing. Rant over. I know it's not really the majority, but a bunch of typically good pages on Facebook I follow will post this kinda shit on occasion, so it feels common. The cheating culture. I got 5 boyfriends and they don't know each other. Oh my god, that's so funny. Fuck those dudes. You deserve to do that kind of thing. Look, if you want 5 boyfriends, have your polyamorous relationship, but cheating is some of the lowest shit you can do. You aren't funny. You aren't empowering yourself and feminism. Most of these pages promote only the woman cheating. To these pages, if the man does it, he can 100% die in a hole for being garbage. You're being a terrible person to a person / people who trust you. I fully expect this to get downvoted to oblivion, as this will offend a real majority, but I'm honestly disgusted by carnists and vegetarians. That is, everyone who consumes animal products. The longer I've been a vegan, the more seeing people eat flesh or cheese or eggs deeply bothers me. Especially walking through a grocery store's meat department. I can't help but see it as a house of horrors, a cold area filled with chopped up body parts. When people throw a rack of ribs into their cart, they appear to me as very sad, very crazy creature, even though I was a flesh eater par excellence for most of my life. Leaving kitchen sponges to stew in gnarly soggy sink gunk, and then using them to clean dishes. Ugh. I wouldn't generally consider myself a germaphobe, but that shit intensely skeeves me out. You best believe, if I see that, I'm immediately either microwaving it or tossing it depending on how nasty the sink water is. I, like many others, enjoy hiking in the mountains. I, like many others, like to bring my dog. I, like many others, bring bags to pick up my dog's shit while hiking. I, unlike many others, pack the bags of poop back out with me instead of just leaving them beside trees, etc. All the while, I assume, making some absurd self-assurance that some other person will be responsible for packing out my dog's shit. Why would you bother to put your dog's cap in a plastic bag just to leave it in the woods? If you aren't going to pack it out, it would honestly be better not to bag it up. I don't get it.